How to become a gentleman villain. We do not have time for that, she protested. I do not want to see you die anymore, so please just run away. The Mex's bridge will be blocked off once the incident occurs. I tried everything I could think of. I tried dragging you away by force. I tried to run away again and again and again, all in different ways. Ed calmly said, It is okay. I tried everything with even the faintest glimmer of hope, but nothing worked. It was all in vain, Clarice cried. I told you it is okay, Ed reassured her. And it was not in vain. He opened a small container of ointment. These wounds on your body that will not heal are a big risk factor, he said. Why is it that these wounds remain despite time turning back? He gently applied the ointment to Clarice's delicate skin. The holy magic's blessing that you bear will target those hostile against you, or those who bear the intent to attack you, and it will protect your body. Another protection it offers is complete resistance against holy magic. That is why Archbishop Verdio's mind reading did not work on you. If so, why is it that only your memories and wounds remain intact? He dropped the ointment jar and said, That is because this very phenomenon of time being rewound is itself being realized through holy magic. It is likely that effectual magic is being used to actually rewind time. Clarice thought to herself, so at that time, what Senior Ed realized was this. Ed continued, The only way to fuel a spell affecting such a wide area would be through a holy magic technique using a god's power as its foundation. Do you see a new hope now? He sparkled with a renewed sense of purpose. Actually, he asked, How many times have you repeated this day? Without warning, Clarice hugged him tightly. Gah! Ed gasped. Clarice cried harder and said, I do not know. I know I was counting at the start, but after 10 times, I just forgot. Ed gently placed his hand on her head and said, You have done well to come this far, Saintess. First, calm yourself, settle your heart, and do not wear yourself out. He thought to himself, whenever people find themselves repeatedly crashing against an insurmountable wall, they always desire the same thing, a new hope. After that, Ed said, Just leave everything to me. We have found the cause, he thought. So running away is no longer the answer. Now, we must remove the source of the problem. I thought it was strange, even back when playing the game. Clarice changed far too quickly after Adele's death. The faithless saint. The way she so suddenly opposed the order in its entirety was to the extent that it was taken as a destruction of her character. But if I think back to it now, it is as if she experienced so much that her personality itself changed. It was impossible to know through the game, but if Clarice had to experience this indescribable hell a countless number of times before learning that the order was behind it, then her shift into the faithless saint makes perfect sense. If so, we can conclude that nothing has changed from the original story. At Nail Hall, considering this, Ed continued and thought, what Clarice must do now is also clear. Even if she runs away from the Holy Lance Dragon, time will turn back, and we cannot eradicate the dragon itself either. Then, Ed Rothtaylor said, Please listen closely, Saintess. We will stop the resurrection of the Holy Lance Dragon. First, we must find the Holy Pope and the Archbishop, as they would be capable of this level of holy magic. Saintess Clarice Ekner said, I have asked countless times while repeating this day, but nobody seemed to know where they were. Is that not strange? Given their high status, each and every move of theirs should draw plenty of eyes and ears. Ed Rothtaylor replied, Yes. As they pushed through other students, Ed added, It would draw plenty of eyes and ears. The students murmured among themselves, The Saintess and Ed Rothtaylor? Taylor glanced at Ed and said, What is with him? Ed thought to himself, were Taylor and Wade in the middle of a spar? The scene in Act 3, Chapter 5, where he awakens his swordsman form and easily takes victory. Wade Callamore hit Taylor in the head and shouted, How dare you look away? Taylor responded, Come on, you look too. Please get off of me, Ed said. No, Saintess Clarice Ekner insisted. Ed thought to himself, Taylor, I guess the story has changed after all. Let us not dwell on unimportant thoughts. He shielded Clarice's head with his arm, thinking, The Holy Lance Dragon will be resurrected soon. As they ran away, Ed thought, what is important right now is finding the Holy Pope and the Archbishop, whose whereabouts were lost at the Mex's bridge. And the person most likely to know their whereabouts is... Ed said to Lortel Keshelm, Sell me some information. Lortel Keshelm replied, Oh my, what a pleasure to see you. Did you happen upon a profitable situation? Ed thought, All information on Arkan Island passes through Lortel. Lortel grabbed Ed's arm, pressed it against her chest and said, Well, I will hear you out first, and... He thought, and if it is Lortel Keshelm, Lortel glanced at Clarice and blinked in confusion. Huh? She will be able to maintain her calm demeanor, no matter the situation, Ed thought. You have been studying new spells day in and day out, Lortel said. Did you perhaps pick up a hypnosis spell along the way? Ed looked upward in silent frustration. Even so, Lortel continued, aiming for the Saintess as much too. There is someone I need to find right now, Ed interrupted. I need to find them before the joint combat training, at the latest. I will pay you however much money you ask for. Lortel frowned and said, Tell me what is going on first. A few moments later, near the Mexis Bridge carriage depot, a servant shouted, Acting company leader. As you have ordered, I have gathered all the witness information from near the Mexis Bridge, Lortel said. Now then, shall we discuss the price? I normally charge a high fee, but today I might have to charge extra. She turned to Ed and continued. First off, because you said it was an emergency, I withdrew from my last spar and accompanied you. And I can understand you, since this is just how you are, Senior. But seeing how the Saintess has changed so suddenly. From her carriage, Clarice looked on and said, Senior Ed Roth-Taylor. I fail to understand what is going on here, Lortel said. Ed asked, You said you were waiting for your last spar, right? Then, it took us quite a while to come this way, so the joint combat training should be coming to an end soon. Yes, Lortel replied. And what about it? Lortel, Ed said. You maintain your calm demeanor no matter the situation, and you excel in making rational judgments and acting accordingly. Why are you saying this all of a sudden? She asked. It is just that, especially in times like these, you shine so brilliantly. As such, no matter what happens, stay calm, and please believe in what I am about to say. Senior, did you not say you were out of time? She asked. That is right, Ed answered. That is why I am saying this. Lortel stood in shock and remained frozen. Suddenly, the ground shook. Debris struck the ground. The coachman shouted at the horse, Nay! Wellbrock's attacks hit the nearby buildings. The coachman screamed in pain, Gah! The horse cried out, Ah! Ed used his skill to block the falling debris and pulled Lortel tightly into his embrace. He was struck from behind. Lortel gasped, wide-eyed, as she stared at the wings of Wellbrock. Wellbrock stepped forward, the ground trembling beneath each step. It screeched. Rain began to fall. Lortel whispered, What is going on? She opened her eyes wide. Ed gently set her down. Cough, he muttered. Senior Ed, Lortel cried out. So, how much? Ed asked, despite the blow he had taken. Huff, huff, Lortel panted, then smiled. Compared to my life, it looks like I will have to pay you back instead. I do not need anything, Ed said. He took the paper from her. Lortel smirked. Is that so? What a lucrative deal. According to the 13 witness testimonies, the Holy Pope and Archbishop used a concealment rune and traveled down isolated roads while accompanied by troops. Ed Roth-Taylor asked, And their destination? Lortel Cacheln answered, the academic cathedral within the faculty building. As he looked at the carriage, Saintess Clarice Ekner punched the door open and shouted, Senior Ed? She ran out and immediately hugged Ed Roth-Taylor, crying, Senior Ed, no, you cannot. Are you okay? What do? You are bleeding. Lortel Cacheln stood there, stunned. Then she exhaled and said, Phew, quit stammering. Let us get moving. It looks like at least one horse is still barely capable of moving. She took hold of the horse and added, It is greatly wounded, but it can reach the faculty building. Quite the stroke of luck. Ed Roth-Taylor stepped into the stirrup and said, We must hurry. Then he turned to Lortel and said, Give me the reins. Lortel held the reins tightly and replied, Even if there is a saddle, having more than 2 people on it would be tough. One of us has to stay behind. Ed Roth-Taylor said, The Saintess and I must go. Still gripping the reins, Ed added, If I must explain. It is a long story, but... Hop, Saintess Clarice Ekner exclaimed, as Lortel helped her onto the horse. You must hurry, Saintess, Lortel urged. Ah, Clarice exclaimed. Lortel said, I am sure you have a reason for this, Senior Ed. I will believe in you. She handed over the reins. Ed said, Thank you, Lortel. I will repay this debt later, I swear. Lortel suddenly grabbed Ed's hand. No, she whispered. Then she stepped into the stirrup and said, You will be paying me back now. She kissed Ed Roth-Taylor. Saintess Clarice Ekner blushed and said, Hey. She stared at Lortel, stunned. She gasped. Lortel got down and said, It seems this second time was also me, Senior Ed. Well, I do need to buy insurance, after all. Lortel, Ed murmured. Then Lortel slapped the horse. Eek, the Saintess yelped. Lortel called out, Saintess, there is a proper order to things in the real world. So if you cling to a product someone else has already claimed, things will get quite messy. She waved goodbye, then stopped walking. Silently, she said, "No, I am not confusing things. The calamitous reign of the Holy Lance Dragon should have ended 300 years ago." Put on a smile, Lortel Cachon. She looked up and said, "He who laughs in the face of danger will find himself the victor in the end." As Wellbrock's colossal foot came down toward her. Meanwhile, Ed Roth Taylor and Saintess Clarice Ekner rode away on horseback. Principal Obel Forcius and Lucy Merrill faced Wellbrock head-on. Ed said, "You must take to heart what I have told you, Saintess." "Okay," Clarice replied. She thought to herself, there is no way he is not scared. I'm sure he must want to run away. Just how is it that he... The horse neighed in pain and collapsed. Ed shielded Saintess Clarice Ekner with his body as she clung to him. "Gah!" Ed groaned in pain. Clarice shut her eyes, then slowly opened them. "Senior Ed, you are bleeding," she said. She thought, how is he? "I am fine," Ed said, standing up. "I have been hurt far worse than this more than a few times before. How is he so strong?" The Saintess thought. "More importantly," Ed said, "the Academy Cathedral." When they arrived, "It seems like we made it to the right place after all," Ed said. He thought to himself, within the long history and grand scale of the Holy Imperial Capital, they are revered as the greatest of holy sorcerers. They are strong enough that, were they to be gathered together, even Lucy would have a hard time fending them off. And they are loyal to the point of always being prepared to lay down their lives for Telos, an honorable title held by only 8 people, the Apostles of Telos. Please step away from the entrance right this instant," Clarice shouted. Ed thought, the Apostles' only weakness is their religious devotion. They would gladly give up their lives at the Saintess's word. One apostle said, "My apologies, Saintess. I am following His Holiness Holy Pope Eldine's orders. No one may pass by me. This is all for your sake, Saintess." Ed drew his dagger and pointed it at them. The apostles attacked. "Gah!" Ed groaned. "Saintess," he called out. "You must break through. Saintess, I have told you that you may not pass." Another apostle shouted. But Saintess Clarice Ekner ran toward the Academy Cathedral. Ed threw an item, a magic engineering tool, impact-amplifying wave ball. As the apostles tried to stop her, one slipped and slid away, screaming, "Gah!" The apostles of Telos looked at Ed Roth Taylor. Ed Roth Taylor cast, basic wind magic, wind blade. The apostles of Telos scoffed, One of them glanced towards Saintess Clarice Ekner entering the cathedral and clicked his tongue. Tisk. They turned back to Ed and asked, "Who are you? You are overexerting yourself. You have already lost a lot of blood. It is already over. Just give up." But as Ed Roth Taylor began to charge his magic, their expressions turned to shock and confusion. He clenched his fist harder and said, "Not yet." He used mid-rank magic, magic arrow, fires condensed magic power in the form of arrows. The number and arc can vary depending on the user's proficiency. In response, the Apostle of Telos activated high-rank magic, Holy Body Awakening. Using holy magic, all magical power is converted into physical energy. He pointed his spear at Ed and said, "I did not want to kill you, but..." Ed fired his magic arrows. The apostle evaded the bolts and shouted, "I am an honorable apostle of Telos. Lightspeed Taldarak." Lightspeed Taldarak lunged, "I will be taking your life." His spear pierced Ed's chest. Ed Roth Taylor, despite the pain, said, "Listen closely, Saintess." When, as time repeated, Principal Obel Forcius and Lucy Merrill were still fighting Wellbrock, Ed said, "I was already wrong." Saintess Clarice Ekner cried, "Then." But Ed shook his head. "I am not telling you to give up. Rather, you should break through instead. Even if you say you have repeated this day countless times, your body and mind have not been restored. I do not know how long you will be able to hold out, but you must come to a perfect understanding of exactly what is going on. Hold your heart steady and give it your everything." Ed grabbed the hand of Lightspeed Taldarak and said, "And if time were to rewind once more?" He stabbed Taldarak's hand. "Gah!" Taldarak cried out in pain. "How can this be?" Ed said firmly. "Then this time you must finish everything perfectly." Glock's ring lit up. "You dare!" Taldarak roared. Ed replied, "Of course that does not mean I will go down without a fight." Suddenly, Marilda appeared behind Taldarak and lunged in to devour him. "Gah!" Taldarak screamed as Ed collapsed to the ground. Marilda shouted, "You! Have you gone mad? You should have summoned me from the very beginning." Ed gasped. "You would have lost. He is too fast and strong for you," Marilda exclaimed. "You, geez. Hey, no. Keep it together. Cough. Huff, Huff, Ed breathed as his vision began to fade. Do not die on me. Please do not die, Marilda said desperately. Ed looked toward the Academy Cathedral. His eyes slowly closed. Ed, Marilda cried. At the cathedral door, open, open. Saintess Clarice Ekner shouted. She muttered to herself, the door is locked, but I have been here plenty of times. Past this door is a large corridor, and past that, a sacred chamber. Sacred. She used her magic. Ugh. Boom! The door exploded. Huff, 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 she panted. Suddenly, confusion struck her. Huh. Blood dripped to the ground. You are Adele, she gasped. Adele approached her, staggering. Clarice caught her and cried out, Adele, Adele. Aha, Adele, what happened? How did this? Adele whispered, Saintess, you are here sooner than expected. What? Clarice asked, stunned. Adele gently touched Clarice's chest and murmured, Still? Saintess Clarice Ekner recoiled in shock. There is no need to come back again, Adele said as she walked forward. Clarice stared at Adele's arm. That is, a holy blessing? For that one mark, the holy power of the Archbishop, the 6 bishops, the 8 apostles, and the Holy Pope must be gathered in their entirety. There is only one person who can have this holy blessing inscribed on their body. The Saintess. Clarice's eyes widened. How? There is not much time left, Adele said. It will all be over soon. Please wait just a little longer. What are you talking about? Clarice shouted. Her arm began to glow. She rushed forward and cried, Adele! Adele's body lit up, and then she shone brightly. Suddenly, time rewound again. Ed Roth-Taylor said, Saintess, you asked to speak with me. What did you want to talk about? Saintess. Clarice stood up silently. In frustration, she replied, Yes. She looked at Ed and said, I will now tell you everything. Meanwhile, Adele remembered. My first memory is seeing seagulls flying high in the skies above the harbor. She called to some children running nearby. Stop right there. Do not run. You will get hurt. The children looked at her in confusion. You could end up tripping over a rock, so watch where you are going carefully, she said. She glanced behind and smiled. My parents ran away from their homeland to the trade city of Oldek while seeking refuge from the war. However, it did not change much, if anything at all. They were used and scammed, and in the end, they spent their days barely being able to afford even a single piece of bread a day. As a sandwich, cookies, and a bottle of milk were given to Adele, she began to eat the sandwich and said, Nom. Her father smiled and said, Adele, your father has something to take care of, so I will be back soon. Just wait here for a bit. Adele replied, Okay. As her father walked away, he glanced back one last time. The other people nearby continued about their business. He broke into a run and muttered, Gah. Adele said quietly, Thank you. She thought to herself, that luxurious sandwich, something I would never have been able to eat normally, strangely enough, tasted like nothing at all. She watched as her father cried while walking away. Adele stood up and said, Now then, time to go. A nearby child shouted, Hey, be careful. His friend tripped and cried out in pain. Ah, Adele thought. I had become an orphan. At the Deldaros orphanage, Adele thought to herself, the sole virtue in the trade city of Oldek was faith. This applied even to the children. This orphanage, which received support from the Telos order, was still on the better side. The reason being that because we were considered servants of God, we were allowed to rest when made to pray in the chapel. After picking up a lute cast aside at the dock, I learned to play hymns on it, which allowed me to spend more time at the church, distancing me just a little from the strenuous labor. One day, a wealthy man exclaimed, Archbishop Verdio, congratulations on your entry into the Holy Imperial Capital, another man said eagerly. Archbishop, I will pay double the offerings we give to the merchantry, so please allow us into the Holy Imperial Capital. Archbishop Verdio laughed. Ha ha. Really, there is no need for this. Thank you. As he gestured, he accidentally knocked over a candle holder beside him. Ah, he squealed, almost like a little girl. Chiga! Fire! His robe caught fire. The wealthy man panicked. Archbishop. Are you all right? Adele quickly threw a pail of water at the flames, soaking Verdio. She said calmly, something terrible would have happened had the altar room caught fire. She continued pouring water to fully extinguish the flames. Archbishop Verdio looked at her in shock. How did you know this would happen? Adele, having prepared buckets of water beforehand, replied, I saw it in a dream. I have dreams like this once or twice a month, although I cannot see my own future. Archbishop Verdio gently held Adele's small hands. She was shocked and confused. It is a true honor to have met the vessel that will stand at the top of the order before anyone else, he said softly. O Saintess of Telos. 1. Adele thought to herself. It all happened overnight. I had over a dozen attendants, luxurious meals, and the respect of high-ranking clergymen. I had to pray every day, receive lessons on etiquette, and sacrifice time for sleep to study. It was incomparable to the life of poverty I once lived. I received baptisms thrice, from the Holy Pope, the Archbishop, and the greatest apostle. I carried on the will of the Holy Imperial Capital and bore the Holy Magic's blessing on my body. With the baptisms and the blessing, my holy power grew stronger. Finally, I had completed every procedure except for the baptism of the stigmata, and for the first time, I was able to see my own future. She saw Wellbrock with her own eyes. In another scene, Archbishop Verdio shouted, "What do you mean you will give up on being the saintess? What are you saying?" Adele calmly replied, "Thank you very much for all the care you have given me thus far. I wish to serve Lord Telos through other means, aside from being the saintess." Verdio sighed. "Ha! I see. So I cannot convince you after all." He looked back at her and continued, "The precognitive ability you possess is a spectral magic. It can twist the providence of time created by Lord Telos. It is because of that instinctive ability that you were selected as the saintess." Verdio's gaze darkened with anger. "Your talents are too great. It seems you have finally become able to see your own future." Adele thought years passed by. I gave up being the Telos Order's saintess and remained in the Holy Imperial Capital as caretaker of the Holy Flame. I played the lute throughout the night. Whenever I would fall asleep, my future would appear once again before me. Wellbrock's roar echoed in her mind. "Gah!" said Archbishop Verdio yelled. "The plan has gone awry. If we intend to calm the God-eating Holy Lance Dragon of creation, we must offer the saintess as a sacrifice." And Adele thought to herself, I was able to hear many things while I was in the Holy Imperial Capital. The world was coming to peace. This was all thanks to the extraordinarily wise rule of Holy Emperor Clol. However, in a peaceful world, none sought God. As a result, the Holy Pope's influence was reduced. Verdio, who was both a clergyman and a businessman, knew all too well what was needed: fear of ruin and a miracle of God. They would revive the Holy Lance Dragon, which had been sealed on Arkan Island, in order to plant terror in the people's hearts. The order would then show a miracle by subjugating that very disaster. Archbishop Verdio had been searching for a saintess as a sacrifice to seal the Holy Lance Dragon from the very beginning. That sacrifice was me. I believed that by running away I had stopped that future from ever occurring. However, several years later, Saintess Clarice Ekner opens the window and shouted, "Adele!" Adele thought to herself, she was not as talented as I was at spectral magic, but she was a young girl with an incredible gift for holy magic. Her countenance and grace, her intelligence and personality. Anyone looking at her would think she was born to be the saintess. Saintess Clarice Ekner sighed deeply. "Adele, what do I have to do in order to live a pure life?" Adele thought to herself, "No, I have to tell her. It was because I ran away that you became the saintess. My struggle to survive will lead to your death. That is why." She looked at Saintess Clarice Ekner and said, "I would rather die in the sewers than live as a blank pure white canvas." And she thought to herself, "You have to run away." As Adele sang The Green Fogs of the Denkin Swamp, she thought to herself, "Run away." And she sang more, saying, "The golden light from the fields of the golden city of Clolon." And she thought again, "Run away." Adele continued to sing The Red Roofs of the Trade City of Oldek, and she said to herself, "As long as it is not here, anywhere is fine." She sang The Viridescent Light of Knowledge from the Scholarly Lands of Sylvania, and she said to herself, "Please, run away from me, Clarice." Every night I would sing of freedom and romanticism, hoping that Clarice would run away. However, guilt would stab into my heart every time I saw that girl smile, because I knew that all of this was nothing more than lies and pure hypocrisy. And early one morning, I ran away again. In this way, I became a wandering minstrel. My final destination was this place, Sylvania Academy. As Adele walked wounded, she groaned in pain. "Ugh, guh." The students nearby said, "Hey, are you all right?" Adele thought to herself, "At first, I did not understand the timing of the Holy Lance Dragon's revival. Now, though, I was aware of precisely when and how everything would take place. When I made my way into the chapel, the third apostle of Telos, Taldarak, would speak. Taldarak said to Adele, 'Outsiders are forbidden from entering.' Adele thought to herself, 'Then I would roll up my sleeves and show him.' She said aloud, 'This is the blessing of holy magic?' Adele thought to herself. I would take advantage of his surprise to enter the chapel where the apostles of Telos would be waiting in battle for me. And in order to awaken the Holy Lance Dragon, there would be a chest containing a necklace bearing Wellbrock's fang. I would try countless times to convince Verdio and the apostles, but they would not listen to me. Seeing how they had not brought Saintess Clarice from Trix Hall, they must have assumed that the stories of the Holy Lance Dragon were no more than exaggerated fairy tales. A true display of arrogance. They would quickly send someone to Trix Hall. In the end, they sought the Saintess to save them. They needed to sacrifice a Saintess in order to feed the Holy Lance Dragon a great amount of holy power, enough to sate its hunger. The sacrificial circle inscribed on the floor of the chapel would put Wellbrock to sleep by sacrificing the Saintess's life. Then, everything would come to an end. As Wellbrock's fangs started to light up, Adele cried out in pain. Ugh, gah. She thought to herself, it is fine. Although my life may have been meaningless, it is not as though it amounted to nothing. It may have all been built on lies, but I saw the light in Clarice's eyes. However, what I could not have predicted was that the blessing of holy magic would protect my body from the necklace. The spectral magic within me was activated and pushed to its limits. As spectral magic uses holy power as its fuel to wrap itself around the world's flow of time, again and again and again. I was surprised that Clarice was able to burst in last time, but I do not have much holy power left, Adele said in pain and exhaustion. Now, just 1 or 2 more times. It will be over. In 2 or 3. Once I have used up all my holy power, even these loops will come to an end. It is over. And she walked towards the Academy Cathedral. Suddenly, a man touched her delicate shoulder. Adele looked at Ed Roth Taylor confused and said, What? You? Huff, huff. Ed Roth Taylor said, Do you prefer orange juice? Adele thought to herself, Just what? Ed Roth Taylor continued, Or just cold water? Still confused, Adele looked at him and said, What is this man doing here? Thank you so much for watching. That's all for now. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to help me grow my channel. Your support means the world to me. Don't forget to leave a comment below. I love hearing from you. Let's keep the conversation going and get those analytics buzzing. Until next time, take care.